So when I started sort of having the idea, because I was flirting with it, and I thought, do I, don't I? Pulled up outside a client one day. I was going into a meeting, and I thought, right, I'm going to do like a bit of a video just saying that I'm going to do it, because once you've done that, you're in. You know what I'm saying? It's like ripping the plaster off. We're going to do this.
I'm doing a podcast. It's coming out next week.
That's it.
And your first one was your story.
Exactly.
Which we're going to get into
and the thing is, though, Dan, the support I got and the reaction I got just from that intro video was enough to make me think this is the right thing to do.
Good.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And it's always something like that, isn't it? It's an event, you know. And the reason I started the PIK, and we spoke about this before the show. You know, my friend Chris had a story, and he passed away, and he passed away after, you know, and I wanted to tell his story. I must talk about this guy on every single podcast. You know, Chris passed away. The story was his dad had killed his mum, and you know, so it's something really close to my heart. You know, she's been buried coming up 30 years in October. She doesn't have a headstone. So we're raising money at the minute to get her headstone. We're at about £1,000. We've got like another £400 to get. So
nearly there.
We're nearly there. And never once in my life did I think any member of the public would charge me, would trust me with £1,000. You know, I'm a heroin addict from Windsor, essentially.
Yeah, I understand.
But you know, it's happening.
And
I'm really pleased we're getting there. So you know, that's all come out of Chris, and and all of this, you know, everything you see now is everything I'm doing now.
Yeah, fantastic.
So we've kind of had that story, don't we? And and yours was the passing, the suicide.
Yeah, so I called it Life After, and again, I know that sort of, I wouldn't say narrowed it down, but it sort of did give me a path that I was going to go down. But obviously there's so many avenues you can go down in terms of life after, whether it be careers, tragedy, happiness, and what have you. But I'm absolutely buzzing I've done it.
Yeah.
I'm really buzzing I've done it. I know it's the right
it's a therapy, isn't it?
And that's what people say to me, and I was speaking to a friend before I came here today, and I said, I'm quite nervous, and they said, well, just treat it like a therapy session. It's just, you know, the power of talking, and I will say the amount of people that have reached out to me, can I come on? This is my story. These are people that I've known for a long time. I had absolutely no idea, and that's because it's all locked in. But then that one thing that they see makes them think, I can talk now, and I think that that's really sad, actually. But if what I'm doing helps that, well, it's got to be worth it.
And you know, we're fairly big on some platforms. You know, Facebook, we have 6.1 million views. I was just looking at the figures before we started. We've had 4 million views this month.
Amazing.
You know, so and we post all our clips, and then YouTube, we're kind of just getting up there because that takes a little while to crack. So, but it's a big way to put yourself out there. For me, you know, I share my entire life on Facebook. And people always say, you know, if you want to know what Dan's doing, just check his Facebook, because you know who I am, you know. And
it's fair enough.
There's a therapy in it.
You
know, and I have a huge following, I think about 16,000, you know, so
good.
You know, I get so much out of that. And
I think there's too many people out there that don't share, and they potentially type delete, and they're just like, I can't do it, I can't press that post button.
Well, I shared the good stuff in Thailand, and this is it with social media. Everyone shares the good stuff. I relapsed in Thailand, and I phoned these guys and said, listen, I'm going to share the relapse.
When was that?
November last year.
Oh, okay.
And you know, listen, man, I'm not going in just for a taster. You know, I'm in big time. And watch the pod. I won't go into it. Everyone's heard the story a million times. And I rang these guys and said, I'm going to share it. So I shared all of it. You know, me nearly losing my leg, fucking everything, man. You know, me getting clean, detoxing.
You know, and how long did that take?
I did it pretty quickly. I'm not pussyfooting around a detox. It can be done in a week.
So you're all in with whatever.
Oh man, not all in. I just know as soon as I'm in it, I'm out of it. You know, so I'm not. Course, people drag it out, and that's up to them. You know, but that's not the way I do it. You know, I've done that in the beginning.
Fair enough.
You know, but anyway, I want to come to. I'd literally watch your podcast again tonight because I wanted to brush up, man. And like every time you watch something, you pick up a little bit more detail.
I understand.
Sally was
Yes.
your wife. Talk to me about Sally. About the relationship kind of before the suicide.
Yeah, I mean, look, we worked together. Sally worked for my business, so we were work home, and that offers the pressures that it would in any relationship. 2 young children, Nelly and Isla. Nelly, who was 4 at the time of Sally's passing, and Isla was 8. Sally was a box of frogs. The comedian in the room a lot of the time. She kept me fairly, she had a tight leash on me, mate. And I'm kind of, a bit like yourself, really. I need that. Yeah. And we lived in what you call like a semi-rural area. We had 2 dogs. Obviously, the business. Things were going really well, mate. Really, really pleased. I was
kind of the ideal,
Yeah, not like I wouldn't say 2.4 material, but we was good, mate.
Yeah. How did you meet?
Ooh, remember I had a mullet.
You're not that old. You're not that old.
I am, mate. No, do you know what it was?
You're really unfashionable, or you're older than what you told me.
It was when fucking Beckham was doing it, right, with his little.
Did he have a mullet?
Yeah, man. Yeah, when he was a bit younger. Anyway, and I was in a nightclub called, ironically, Bullet, and I knew her from school. So her sister was a year below me at school. She was 2 years below me at school, and we lived literally, I don't know, like there was an alleyway separating our houses. So I've always kind of known of her. And then we met in a nightclub, and then I think we saw each other every day since.
Brilliant.
Yeah,
so kind of like childhood,
a bit,
not sweethearts, but you knew each other, yeah.
There's pictures in her mum's house of me and her and a couple of other kids sat watching telly with our legs crossed and that. It's mad. But yeah.
Yes. So this isn't just your wife, is it? This is someone that you've grown up with.
To a degree, yeah. I mean, in different circles, like we've probably come across each other, but yeah, known her a long time, mate.
Yeah, and you would have shared childhood memories.
Yeah, potentially. I mean, like I say, she was a bit younger than me, and you know what it was like, Dan. When we was younger, it was just sort of like you didn't really sit around each other's houses a lot. Lads played football. Lads were out in the fields playing football, and there came a point where you started chasing the girls, but that was quite late for me. I was a bit shy, but yeah, I remember sort of seeing her in the club that night, and I thought, do I, don't I?
And
Decent looking bird, mate. I must have had enough to give me the courage. What I mean?
Yeah, good.
Yeah.
So, nice life, kind of everything going well.
Yeah, very well.
And so, if you're happy to talk about Sally as a person, because she took her own life.
She did.
Any kind of historical kind of mental health. I don't like the word mental health. But no. we'll use that. Any kind of signs that maybe things weren't right.
Obviously, hindsight's a wonderful thing, and Sally would. So she went out and she had a drink. She's fucking nightmare, mate. She was just always like, all over the place, and she. Those who know her will know about the tricks she used to do. She used to be double jointed. She'd pull her arm behind the fucking like someone else was grabbing her. Sort of just absolutely bonkers, mate.
Life and soul. The party.
But then the next day, she could wake up and go into that para state. Have I said something to someone? Have I offended someone? And I suppose that's what you would deem manic behaviour to a degree. Although at the time, you're in it and you're just like, shut, you're fine. They were more pissed than you. You haven't done anything wrong, kind of thing. And you brush over it. But in terms of anything else, I mean, when what happened, I sort of turned detective a little bit, because there was no letter, there was no signs, there was no, it was just poof, nothing to guide me. And I'm wanting answers, obviously. So I've gone to the local, her GP, and fortunately I knew the lady that worked on the reception there. And, with GDPR, she said, I'm not supposed to tell you. And I said, did she come here? That's all I want to know. Did she come here for any help, any medication? She said, no.
Wow.
So yeah.
So the night that it happened, you were in the pub.
Correct.
And And I was just trying to picture the scene, you know, when I watched the pod, and I'm kind of trying to picture the scene, you know, you're in the pub, and I've got able to kind of picture it a little bit more now. You've kind of explained the kind of type of person she is, life and soul, and
yeah.
Any difference that night? You know, was she a little bit more subdued, or?
So I've obviously looked deeply into suicide since this happened, in terms of, if you like, any kind of mannerisms or characteristics that you should be looking out for. So the day of it, like, obviously we're working together. You know, I go out, get her a lunch, as I always did, because she always used to just fucking sit behind a desk and get up. Bless her. And you know, all good. She went home, done a school run, and then we'd agreed to meet in the pub. I left a bit later. Got to the pub, she was sat there in the corner. Specifically remember having her fucking phone on charging the gambler, because she never had a fucking phone charge. And what I would say, again, given the benefit of hindsight, is very calm. Very calm. Now, I've looked into suicide and the behaviours that lead up to it, and what I've discovered is that when they decide they're going to do it, when the plan's, if you like, pre-executed, they go into a state of calm, almost euphoric. They know whatever it is they're going through, they're going to be out of that very soon.
The decision's made, the pain is
made.
I can relate to that, you know, in terms of the calmness with the decision, you know. I can relate to that, you know, and a lot of my viewers are in recovery, and I think anyone can relate to it. You know, when I've had long clean time and my using looks like suicide, and at one point it was a suicide attempt. Once I'd made the decision to use, my head just went quiet. I was almost at peace. It's like the internal conflict is over.
Yeah,
and it's like, okay, now I know what I need to do. So I can relate to that. So you're in the pub that night. She left early,
which again, there's a lot of hindsight here. So we were due to go to the Birmingham City West Brom game the next day, and I'd got corporate tickets because her mum's a big West Brom fan. Now, with it being a local derby, they always kick it off early, so people aren't out getting lashed for too long. So it was something like a 12 or a 12:30 kick-off. Now, she knew if she left me out with the lads, I'm probably rolling in late, and I'm potentially ruining the next day kind of thing. You know, I'm mouldy, I don't want to go, all the rest of it. So I turned round, she'd gone. Now, normally it'd be a pull on the arm, or you were fucking going, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I turned around, she'd gone. I said to the guy, so where's she gone? She said, she's gone home to wrap some Christmas presents. It's obviously the 13th of December. Kids aren't in the house, because we had a babysitter because they're going early the next morning. Yeah. It's plausible. It works in my head. And it fucking really worked, because I could start and have a few more pints. Do you know what I mean? I was like, great. Yeah. I was about 4 or 5 in, and by the time, you know, it's kind of approaching Christmas, you're rocking and rolling, and I just sort of saw it as perfectly normal, really. But again, hindsight says it weren't.
Yeah. So again, you know, I know you kind of went home, you snuck past the house, hoping she wouldn't see you.
Yeah. I mean, so I went from the office pub, which is one of the pubs in Wharton, and then the other pub in Wharton is a social club, which is literally, you know, just over the road from my house. So I'm kind of going past, like, you know, I'm wanting to stay involved. So I'm just sort of making sure she don't see me. So I get there, and then obviously things just, you know, I was in then. Had a few more beers, a lot more beers actually. So there till closing. There was a brass band on. I'm on the fucking stage playing a tambourine. I'm just gone loco, like, you know what I mean. I'm enjoying myself. Then it's kicking out time. And a pal of mine, Mark, he said, "Do you mind if I come over yours and order a taxi? Because I don't want to be stood on the car park here. It's freezing." I said, "Yeah, no worries, mate." So we've gone over, like we're sort of zigzagging and all the rest of it, and then I remember vividly like the sound of the gravel, and like none of us could pick our feet up. We're like sort of shuffling along, and so my house, there was we had a porch, so you had door, then you're in.
Yeah.
Now, typically, porch door was always shut, inside door was open.
Yeah,
that was the norm. That night, both doors shut. So I'm thinking, okay, she probably locked me out. You know what I mean? She's fucking pissed off with me.
Yeah, you're in the doghouse.
I'm in the doghouse, mate, well and truly. No, it was open. Now, because I'm going like sort of, it's when you piss, you're stumbling kind of thing. I've sort of kind of fell in the house to a degree, and then I've passed her. Believe it or not, she's hanging on the stairs there.
But did you notice her at that point?
No. I've gone past, right? So if you imagine the door opening, it kind of blocked out my view of anything there. So I've gone, and then my mate, I'll never forget this, all over my mate goes, and then he said, turn to me, just walk to me. I was like, what the fuck are you talking about? Don't look. I said, so someone said, don't look. You fucking looked at, bang, face to face with her.
Wow.
Hanging, eyes rolling, lips blurred. I knew she's gone. You know what I mean? There was no. So, if I was a superhero, I'd pick her up one night and cut her down and all the rest of it. Fuck that. I freaked. I'm outside. I've run to the edge of the driveway. Luckily, other people were coming out as it was booting out time. And we'll come back to this because the story gets a bit weirder, but the people that actually did get her down eventually bought the house. So, it's just a mad story, start to finish. I'm at the edge of I've then ran off down the road. Don't know what I'm doing at this point, obviously. And then I've got to a house, and it's sort of the, the cream sort of concrete with the pinholes. It's sort of like an really old fashioned, and I've just started punching it. So my knuckles are all fucked, all bleeding. And then my mate said, come back. Then someone shouted, get the defib. There was a town hall literally about 100 yards up the road. I've run up there, got back. By that time, there's paramedics there. Now I've looked, and as I'm kind of looking through the door, I can see her lying on the floor. Richard, who was the guy that got her down with his wife, was doing CPR, and I heard an exhale of air. Now this falsely sort of led me to think that she was okay, or there was hope. That was the last I saw, because I was then ushered up the road into another house. And at that time, paramedics had arrived and had started work on her. So I'm stood there, and I'm like, oh God. My mum appears. My mum lived in the same village, and she's like, it's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. And I was like, Mum, it's not. I saw her, but then in my mind, I'm thinking, but I heard what I heard as well. So then 2 police officers come in, and I'm thinking, this is it. This is the moment. They said, we're sorry to be informed, and that's it. Then I'm aware that she's passed away. Then I'm turned around and put in handcuffs. Yeah.
So they arrested you then, didn't they, for murder?
Suspected murder.
On suspicion of murder.
Suspicion of murder. Yeah.
Now I know what that's like to be arrested for that.
Yeah. It's not good, mate.
I've not been a particularly great person.
Yeah.
But what I also know is that when I haven't done it, I'm good. Okay, let's go.
Yeah.
So kind of just stop there in that moment for me if you can.
Mm-hmm.
What's going through your head at that time? So you're being nicked, hands behind your back, cuffs. You've just lost your wife.
Lot to take in.
Well,
so as silly as it sounds, they led me out into the street. They put me in the back of I want to say it was like a Land Rover, like an old-fashioned Defender with a cage in the back.
Yep.
Which I suppose is stuff they use to transport fucking murderers, you know what I mean? So
I'm just using it to transport prisoners in general. Yeah,
I'm in there, but I've kind of gone quietly. I've gone completely quietly because I've just gone into a state of like severe shock. But the whole street, the whole fucking village is out. You know what I mean? It's everyone's watching.
You're in cuffs, and
I'm in cuffs, and then they walk me in, and then. The thing I'll distinctively remember though is that whilst in the back of this this vehicle, I'm trying to work out where I'm going just from the turns I'm making. Does that make sense? I'm just sort of thinking, where are they taking me?
Yeah, it's fairly standard.
So I'm like, and then I got there. This was the bit where I was a bit like, what the fucking hell's going on here? There's the geezers rode up against the wall with shotguns. Look, armed police.
Yeah.
So they think a monster's on its way. You know what I mean? I'm led off. I'm took to the counter fucking thing.
Custody,
I don't know. Custody.
I
reckon you've been arrested more than me, mate. But yeah,
once or twice.
Yeah. So I go there. They read it to me.
Yeah.
It's not going in. All I'm hearing is blah, 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 blah. You know, nothing's coming through clear. And then they take me to a cell. I was like, okay. Look around me. This is great, isn't it? You got a little tin pot piss fucking pan. You got a fucking
they're not built for comfort.
Little crash mat.
Yeah.
And then I've handed some like leaflet or something to read, which again I'm just looking at, like I'm reading the paper. And a woman comes and opens the little slotty thing and says, "Do you know why you're here?" Because I must have had this calm exterior about me. I mean, I was still probably quite pissed, but I said, no. He said, you're here on suspicion of murder. I went, ah. So you almost look like the coldest killer on the fucking planet. You know what I mean? Like a psychopath, basically. You know what I mean? No emotion, etc. First night was obviously really hard.
How many days were you in the police cell? 4 days?
72 hours.
Okay, so next on the Friday?
Next Friday night.
Release Monday.
Yeah. Monday morning, okay. Yeah. Obviously then interviews took place the next day.
Yeah.
So the first night I'll never forget, obviously didn't sleep very well. And I remember looking at, there was a little square area where the light shone in. So I'm like just lay under that on my crash mat, just trying to like work out what time it was. Because in my head, I'm thinking, comes like 8-9 o'clock, I'm gone. They'll work it out, and I'm on my way home, sort of thing.
So just let me backtrack, because the paramedic said something to the police, which is quite pivotal to the story.
Yeah. So the paramedic's comments were that the marks around Sally's neck weren't consistent with hanging.
Okay. So what they were saying, they were suggesting that you'd killed her.
They were suggesting that me and Mark, the lad who came down the driveway with me, had strung her up.
Okay. And no,
it's brutal, mate.
No other signs of any DV, domestic violence. Nothing.
Absolutely nothing.
No history. No any historical. No police ever been called to the address.
Absolutely nothing, mate. And that's what I mean. You know, that paramedic really caused me a problem, mate.
Yeah.
It has made me have a view on the police. I mean, you know, we'll come to it, but the way that they spoke to me when they released me, and you know, sometimes we get it wrong. Oh, thanks. You know, it's
I
hard.
suppose
I get it. It's you know, but it was a hard one to take. It still is a hard one to take, but it happened.
So you're, and I suppose, you know, and you've got the babies as well, so they're slightly grown up now, but at the time 4 and
8, nearly 9, yeah.
4 and
8. And in fairness, Dan, they didn't pop into my head straight away, and I don't think I was able to allow anything to pop in my head. I think it was just like everything just closed, and I was just, like I say, shock, zoned out in a bubble. And I don't think my head allowed me to think of all the fucking shit I had to go out and sort if I got out. Because in my head, I started to think about, you know, you watch these fucking documentaries on Netflix, and people are wrongly accused and convicted and all the rest
Well,
of
it happens,
it. And,
yeah.
So then I'm interviewed the next morning. And it wasn't just like, you know, I've been cautioned before, scrapping into and all that, but this was like, you know, you're
Did
in
you have a solicitor?
Not at this stage.
Okay.
So we're in this room, and it's a big telly on the wall, which is obviously recording me.
Yeah.
You got two coppers. One of them seems quite nice. One of them seems quite straight to the point, and they're sort of talking to me. One's asking me a question, then one will get me talking. They go back to the question to see if there's a synergy with the answers. Okay. That went on for about 2.5 hours, I believe. Then I was put back in my cell. Then I was took back out. Every time the door's going, I'm thinking I'm going home. But then I was took into a little room, and it's like Deal or No Deal. Like, there was just a phone in the room, in the corner of the room. Phone rang, went over, and it's my solicitor, or the duty solicitor. I didn't have one at the time. And he said, "What have you said?" I said, "Just told him what happened." And he went, "Do not speak anymore until I'm there." I said, "Why?" And he went, "Just don't. You're in a vulnerable state, and they could put words in your mouth."
Yeah, they can.
Or manipulate the situation.
Yeah, you know, it can be. They can take inference from what you're saying, and
You've got to remember as well, Dan, the knuckles are cut.
That's
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So they're looking, thinking DV,
Exactly.
argument, and it's been covered up, and you and your friend have killed your partner.
Yep.
You know.
Yeah.
And I bet in your head, so you're in interview, and now you're in a defensive position.
Yeah.
Because
Hard not to get.
I know how this looks.
Yeah. I don't think I felt angry. I was fucking scared.
I was going to say, because it looks like, and I've been in the same position, not quite the same situation, but where this looks like I've done this.
Yeah, and then what you find yourself doing is you're overcompensating on answers. Yeah. You're sort of, you know, you're being overly helpful. Yeah. Now, I'm not saying that I didn't want to cooperate, but I certainly weren't going to start saying, "Oh yeah, I've done this, I've done that," and no, I was just sort of trying to remain as calm as possible. When my solicitor got hold of me, I think I explained it in my podcast. You know, he looked exactly like Robin Williams, the comedian guy, the actor, and he was mint. I mean, he just put me at ease. He asked me very straight, sort of, you know, systematic questions. Did you do it? No. Did you touch her? No. Were you there? No. Okay. It's all no's. So he said, "You're going to be all right." And like you said, you know, when you know you haven't done it, we're all good. So I kind of went into that mode in terms of feeling what you would call calmer. But then when I started to get a bit calmer, then the kids pop in my head, then my business pops in my head, then everything then started to flow in, and I'm thinking, right, okay, would I rather be locked up, or would I rather get sent out into
because then the realisation sets in, you know, you're pretty at ease. It's like, okay, I'm probably not going to go down for this, and now I've got to go home and I've got to explain to my kids.
It's a whole other life sentence.
And then you've got to face the rest of your life with this person that you've known since childhood. Yeah. And it's like, and yeah, man, it's just like so much stuff.
Yeah, it was a lot of practical stuff to get done, mate.
But did it? And of course, you know, you were arrested in front of the neighbours. So it's like, what do the neighbours think? Village life. Oh yeah, so like you're
yeah. Well, for 72 hours, I was a murderer.
Yeah, and what so let's so and I know you went to Crown Court, released from Crown Court. Did you go to Crown Court?
Went to Leamington Crown Court.
What was that for? If there was no charge?
So they wanted to get an extension on my stay.
Oh, okay. Now I understand.
Yeah. So, and again, come to my cell Sunday morning. Yeah. I'm going home. Brilliant. We're taking to Leamington Crown Court. Now, this was the point, Dan, where I go back to the sort of like, you know, people that are wrongly convicted, where I thought, fuck, why haven't they sorted this out yet? It's damn fucking obvious. You know, surely any kind of like, you know, half decent pathologist, I think they call it, call them, would see there's no foul play. So I'm led out in my cuffs into an unmarked car with a guy sat in the back with me. I think a woman was driving, another woman with her. So I've got 3 officers with me, and I'm just trying to talk to them normally. And then I broke down. I cried quite badly. And as silly as it sounds, I didn't want to cry because I didn't want to look I didn't want to kind of display any emotion. I was really conscious. I was sort of like, get there in a holding cell for about an hour. And I'm just start talking about Christmas. Obviously, I'll go again. I'm thinking of the girls. I'm in here. It's nearly Christmas. My wife's dead. Not great. I then got took through to the Crown Court, led up the stairs beyond the glass bit, the visor kind of thing. I looked to my left, and there's my pal, and I didn't even know the nickname.
I said, yeah, of course, yeah. So it makes sense, yeah.
So
I forgot about that. Totally forgot about that. So they were accusing both of you of suspicion of murder. So, but in my mind, they'd only pinched me. I didn't think they'd had him, and apparently they didn't. I was told after he was like 5 or 6 hours after, so he must have been like thinking, it's just Bill kind of thing. And then anyway, he was in there next to me, and I was told, do not look, do not talk to him, kind of thing. But I'm just sort of like looking at him, nodding, sort of like, you're all right, sort of thing. Like trying to, you know what I mean, like to sort of stand on a little bit. Yeah.
What really got to me was sort of like, I'm here and they're all there, the judges and all the rest of it talking, and the barristers and whatnot. And they said it was a bank holiday weekend, and they said, well, if we get the extension now, we can charge tomorrow. Now, when they're saying stuff like, you're thinking, why are they talking about charging me? What is this?
Yeah.
What the fuck is going on here? Anyway, went through the motions. We're gone. Now, I've learned that if I'd been in that court for another 5 minutes, I'd have been told actually there and then that I was a free man, because the pathologist report had come through.
Yeah.
But by then I'm in the car. Obviously my solicitor ain't got these geezers' mobile numbers who's driving me.
Yeah.
So I've got to do the whole journey again. Leamington to Nuneaton. Yeah. It ain't far. It fucking felt far, mate.
Yeah, of course.
Because all I wanted to do was I wanted to just take me home. I get back, and the vibe was really different.
In the house?
In the police station.
Got you.
Hi, Mr. Farley. Is there anything you need, Mr. Farley? How are you feeling, Mr. Farley? The geezer beyond the things even talking to me about the football results at the weekend. I'm thinking, what the fuck's going on here? I'm ready just to be led back into my cell. Do you want to just sit there at the front of the desk?
They're releasing without charge now at this point.
They're sitting in front of the desk. I'm sat next to some lad who's been nicked for being pissed up fighting in Nuneaton. He's like, I was like, fuck, I don't need this shit. But anyway, I've been called, you know what I mean? Been called,
off.
Yeah, fucking mate, I'm having a bad day. Anyway, but I'm called forward, and I'm like, this is it, man. This is it.
Oh, so you think you're getting charged now?
Mr. Farley, we are not going to be charging you. I fell to the deck, my pissed up mate's come and pick me up, and fucking, and I'm like, I don't know how I'm feeling, Dan. I don't know how I'm feeling. I'm euphoric in a way, but then I'm scared. I'm angry. I'm just everything. Into the grey tracksuit because they keep your clothes, obviously, for forensics, etc. And then I was took to what they call the family room, and then this is where this.
Oh, so now they're treating you like not I dare say a victim, but along the same lines. Yeah.
And that was sort of. While I was obviously I was relieved to be treated like that as opposed to being fucking thrown in the cell. I was a bit like, this should not have happened to me, but it did. And that's where he said, like, sorry, sometimes we get it wrong. I was like, okay, fine, fair enough. Sam, mate, I'm off. I was led then I was just took to an unmarked car again, and they took me to my brother's. So my brother had But by then, by the way, we are 72 hours in. I've had my mum, my brothers, every man and his dog's been phoning the police station, and they're not able to tell them anything.
No, they won't. Yeah.
And you know, my brother said, like, he said it's been hell. But I know it's been. He said, I know it's been hell for you, but it's been hell for us, just not knowing, because everyone knows I ain't got that in me. You know what I mean? It's just sort of like, but you never know. So anyway, I get back to my brothers. I just fell on the floor, mate, crying. I'll never forget it. It was like, I don't think I'd really eaten. They were just giving me like sugar, tea with sugar in, and I was just running on empty, basically. Emotionally fucked, obviously. I fell to the floor, crying. Had to sleep in my son's bed for a few weeks. My fucking feet hanging over the edge is only tiny. But I couldn't go back to the house. Naturally, I didn't want to go back there.
Yeah. So, okay, so I suppose, you know, we're house. I want to ask some difficult questions, if we're all right to do that.
Of course.
Okay. And questions you might not be able to answer.
I'll try.
But I suppose, you know, I'm just curious, you know, as to what makes, you know, do you sit there and think about, why she left us?
So, in my mind, because when I went back there to collect some clothes, I'd forgot about the clothes as soon as I walked in. I'm detective again. I'm looking around. There was wrapping paper on the floor, scissors. And the spooky thing about that, not the spooky, the really sort of like, it just gets me, is was she going to wrap presents? And then something snapped. It doesn't make sense, because I know that wasn't, I remember I've gone home after her from work. I was in the house last before she went back. Yeah. There wasn't that out there. So it was like, what the fuck? And you know, I ain't Mr. Domesticated, mate. So her knowing what she's leaving her kids with, I couldn't turn a washing machine on, mate. You know, like it's crazy, and that's the confusing part. And I think I said it before. Had I not seen her that night or in the chapel arrest, you'd have been hard pressed to convince me, mate, because it was last on the list, mate, and I just couldn't. Yeah, I still to this day can't get my head around it.
Any you know, when the children were born, any history of postnatal depression, anything like that?
So, a friend of hers sent me it was a caption off Facebook, and it was sort of like a description of a lady, what she was going through, how she was feeling. It was like it was wrote about my missus, mate. Really scary, and it looks to me as if what she was going through was something called postpartum depression.
Okay. I don't know anything about that.
It's something to do with, so, you know, it relates to sort of like, you know, parenthood and sort of like, you know, that sort of being able to bond with your kids and stuff like that, and sort of ultimately not feeling good enough and all the rest of it, which I suppose goes back to sort of what I said about, you know, when she'd wake up after going out and, you know, oh, have I said this? Have I said that? Have I done this? Have I done that? Like, and I will say this. Someone said that she didn't go straight home from the office pub. She went from the office pub up to the social club where I went, sat there. She had a coat with a furry hood on at the time. She sat with a furry hood like this, crying, by the way, and said, "Why does everybody hate me in this village?" That's what she said to one of the lads. Now, obviously that's red flag. But they've just treated it as, Sally's pissed up, and she's just saying that, you know, she's just emotional, but she wasn't, mate. When they did the autopsy, she had like 3 glasses of red wine. Like she could have a lot more than that and still walk straight.
I just, you know, it's a big jump in it, you know, to go from. It's a big jump, you know, to going out, getting pissed up, and being regretful the next day. To, you know, and even if we were to go a bit forward and say, you know, she was depressed and you know, and tearful, to and I'll just say it like it is, you know, because I don't have any other way, so forgive me, to taking her own life and leaving her children, It's a big jump.
Crazy. And obviously, you know the stats, you know, suicide in women is it's a lot rarer than men.
I don't know that.
Yeah,
I hear about men because I'm tuned into that.
Yeah, well, and I think another, you know, again, I've had to sort of look at all the contributors and you know, try and make sense of it, sort of thing. So we lost our dog Peanut. She was only 3, little Frenchie. Yeah. We actually sort of homed her. We didn't buy her. We just homed her because a guy who I know was breeding them, and he said, "I've got too many. Kind of, can anyone take these off my hand?" We then had her daughter as well, like a couple of years later.
Yeah.
And the Peanut, who was only 3, she died. The esophagus or something, that was an issue, and she just went. It was quite sad because she was sort of like, she was okay, then she went bad again, then she was okay, and it was just like that dog went to work with her. It sat at her desk. I think the dog had separation anxiety. He was literally obsessed with her, and that was really, really hard for her. We were then going to move from Wharton to Ostry, which is the next village on. She really wanted that. Again, ties in with the why does everyone, you know, I don't get it, but and the house wasn't quite right that we were looking at. And now when I said no, I'm not, I could see it just sort of like she was deflated. I've not done it against her, but I just thought it weren't, you know, it was, you know, these new builds and you've got a garden about as big, you know, it's just not right. We had, you know, a nice house where we were. Yeah, it's just confusing, mate.
So I suppose, you know, life has had to go on because you've got the children. And they're here today, you know, and you know, we spoke about this, and
they asked to come, and they've watched the first one.
How's I suppose firstly, and there are a couple of questions I want to ask around those. You know, how do you communicate that? And I suppose your boy was a little bit older at the time.
Yeah, so my son's with my ex, so he's with my first sort of serious relationship, if you like. But me and his mum split when he was 2, and I got with Sally quite quickly. So he's kind of known her for 9 years.
Okay. So there would have been a bond.
Massively, yeah, and it affected him definitely. So you mean how did I tell them what had happened?
Yeah, that's the first bit, and then the second bit, I suppose, you know, is how do I suppose they could only speak for themselves, but they're not old enough, or your daughter's not old enough to. I wouldn't be comfortable with her.
No.
So I suppose it's like, how do you see that's affected her? Really, is the question.
Yeah, I mean, Isla was really close to Sally. Obviously, she was older, so she'd had longer on this earth with her or what have you, so it was really tough. I think we were kind of trying to go with the idea that she'd sort of fell and bumped her head, because nobody wants to come out with what's really gone on. And Isla, being a bit older, would sort of look at me sometimes, because we all kind of moved back in together. We went and rented a property in a village called Clifton Campville, which was sort of far enough away but close enough so I could still get the girls to school. Although lockdown happened then, so it was like fucking really weird. But lockdown helped me because I was able to spend lots of time with the girls. And you've asked me about communication. What it did, it allowed me to sort of gradually build up to it. And I woke up one day and I just said, like, I'm going to tell them the truth. I'm going to tell them the truth, because Isla would like look at me as if say, when are you going to tell me the fucking truth, Dad? Like, I could feel it. And I did it. Horrible.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Horrible, but relief, if that makes sense, because we were able then to begin the grieving process, or the word be acceptance process of what's happened. I'm able to then, and this was why lockdown really helped me, was able to then keep my kids with me. They didn't have to go to school. You know what kids can be like sometimes. And then be exposed to potentially, you know, a child saying the wrong thing to them, and we've got triggers all over the place. But there were moments naturally where, you know, there was tears, there was this, there was that, but it was. We actually had quite a nice time in lockdown. We became what I'd call a unit, and I was anxious about that because I was their parent, but the mum was the grown-up one.
I
was like, you know, I tried to be like the fun parent.
Yeah, I can relate to that.
And you know, my dad was very old-fashioned, and he never really, you know, told me he loved me or anything like that. It was always sort of like push your chest out, your shoulders back, son, come on. Whereas I was sort of like, you know, a bit of like, you know, an uncle in our bed. Like I was just I'm just joking all the time, embarrassing them in front of their friends, but showed them so much love. I don't, you know, and that's because of my childhood, and it was quite rough. My dad passed when I was 21, and I had quite a volatile relationship with my dad. I've sort of always had it in my heart, I'm going to make sure those kids know I love them more than anything in the world. I'm going to tell them every fucking day, and not just once, maybe twice, 3 times. And yeah, I do, don't I? But yeah, and I'm annoying, and I'll go and kiss her in the night when she's asleep, and I don't know, I'm just a softie, mate. But
no, and it's nice, you know, and I think you know, I certainly know I'm definitely a lot firmer with my boys than I am my little girl, you know. And she knows she gets away with it. So I understand the relationship, and you know, but I make a point of telling my children I love them. You know?
Absolutely.
And not because my dad didn't do that, you know, I think our parents just did the best with what they had, you know, and it was a space in time when that was how parenting was, and it's no longer like that, you know. And
well, my dad definitely suffered from mental health, Dan. He so I'm one of 3 brothers. There's me, 42, Dave 41, I want to say, Tom 30, all really close in age. My mum didn't see her fucking feet for 3 years, bless her. But yeah,
that just dropped.
But we just, I don't know, like once we left home, I think my dad saw it as we didn't need him anymore, and he slipped real bad. Like my mum said, he just sort of like, you know, because, you know, although he probably didn't tell me he loved me at the time, he did, and he, you know, he used to run me about everywhere. I played football quite a good level, and he'd drive me everywhere and stuff. And I know the burden that is, you know, because when you do it yourself, you know what they've done for you. But yeah.
So you're in a new relationship now?
Yeah. I'm making. I met Claire quite quickly. It was about 4 or 5 months after Sally passed away.
I was going to ask that. Yeah, how soon after? Yeah,
it was because Claire actually knew Sally. She was good mates with her. She lived in the same village. Okay. So as a result of that, my eldest daughter and her daughter, same age, really good friends at school. So as you'd expect, they all know me. The women around the village, they know I'm fucking useless. So they all kind of get around me a bit, because I went to the cinema about 30 times in a month. I didn't know what else to do with the kids, mate. I've watched everything about 5 times. And then they said, oh, look, let's go to the farm. Let's do this. Because I'm not used to doing it, Dan. I've always been sort of like, Sally does that and I do the other bit. And then me and Claire kind of got talking, got closer. Claire's husband, he's in a brain injury hospital. He's never coming out. He's, you know, so both had real tragic circumstances.
So you kind of supported each other.
Yeah. And then lockdown happened. Oh. And she said, well, I can stay with you if you want. You know, like I'll help you. Awful cook. But, you know, she knew how to, you know, did a washing bit. Yeah. Nah, mate, she'll laugh and bollocks. Yeah. But no, and then look, one thing led to another, and we, you know, she was really good with the girls, and still together.
Okay. Well, any questions for me? We've got a bit of time.
Feel better about your life now.
Do I feel? Funny enough, no, mate.
Oh, no.
Like,
trying my best for you.
Mine just. I'm not saying I would take yours, but I could see there's almost a normality compared to mine. You know, mine's fucking tragic, mate.
Yeah,
but not as tragic as yours. Mine's like deliberately tragic, like all my own making.
Yeah. But there's still, I will add, there's still guilt there, mate. There's still.
I was going to say that. Yeah. And do the kids ask you questions?
Not really.
Nah.
Not really. I think what we do as a unit. I would say that we try and protect each other in respect of sort of like, I'll do my crying away from them, and I don't doubt that they do that as well. And you know, we check in on each other, but I think that to a degree where we're not going too much into it and dragging ourselves into to bad places.
Yeah, I was surprised, you know, you said you'd bring them today. I was like, ooh, you know, and I sort of just did it, you know. I was like, oh, do you know what is? I was like, I thought it was a strange decision at first.
Yep.
You know, I was like, that's a bit strange, you know, that because of the subject we're talking about, and particularly your daughter and the age of your daughter. I was like, it's
look, we're open.
Yeah.
And I don't want them to ever hear anything about what happened. Okay, whether it be a fabricated or unfabricated version, that hasn't come from me.
Yeah.
It's my responsibility, is how I see it. And you know, I would hope they'll never keep anything from me. There'll be certain bits I know, but you know,
I think because for me, you know, and as there is in society, you know, the people that are critical, and there'll be people that will criticise the fact that you bought the children, and they'll probably let me know in the comments. You know, and I kind of ran it by you and said, you know what, you're the parent, you're the guardian, and you're making the decisions, and
and they were. I was nervous. They were excited.
Yeah.
To come and see this, and I'd like to think they're proud of me. Actually,
do you know? Who knows how everything will turn out? You know, and I'm definitely not God, and although you know, sometimes I try and play God. That's probably my ego complex there. But so I kind of just rolled with it and said, okay, if you're happy for it. You know, I spoke to the studio earlier, and again, you know, if you're happy with it, and you know, so the buck stops with you, I suppose.
Of course, it does. Yeah.
And who knows how it will turn out? Who knows whether it will be a beneficial experience or you know, and that will be fun.
Yeah. Well, I think that, you know, look, we said at the start of this this pod that this is therapy.
Yeah. Did you speak to them on the way over, or about the pod, and it kind of?
Yeah. Yeah, I speak to them all the time.
Yeah, so
they love it. They you know, they you know, in a silly sort of way, they think I'm a bit famous now, and it's nice. And you know, look, mate, I want my kids to grow up with courage.
Yeah,
I want my kids to know that it's good to talk, the power of talking, and to be there if someone else needs to talk. Yeah. And that's my ethos, mate.
Yeah, and like I just said, you know, you know, one thing I try and live my life by today is I just try and let things happen how they're meant to happen. Because generally, when I get involved, it all goes to shit.
Yeah.
You know, I just try and go with it, and I go, okay, you know, and who knows, something, you know, really good beyond, you know, anything I could imagine might come out of it.
Yeah.
You know, and Bill, you know, Bill or Billy.
Billy, Bill, yeah, whatever, mate. Call worse.
What, mate? I'm really glad, you know, I'm really glad you came on. And I was sat there last week. I didn't have anyone booked in for this Thursday, and then you messaged me.
Well, your message went into, mate, I'm a dinosaur, as everyone would tell you who knows me with social media, and because we weren't following each other, it went into like the hidden part, and I've clicked off, who's this? And then when I saw it, bang, straight away, mate.
Well, you messaged me. I was sat at home, and I was thinking of roping the producer in and doing a funny podcast with him.
Yeah,
just talking about, I don't know.
It's popped up then.
And
it's hard, isn't it?
And then you messaged me, and I was like, and that's what I mean when I say I don't get involved, you know, with my life.
Yeah,
I stay out of it.
Yeah, and
just try and let God do what He needs to do.
Yeah,
and then you popped up, and it was too good of opportunity to not do.
Mate, if karma's true, I've got, you know, I was on the way over and I stopped at a petrol station, and there was a lady in a bit of a, she just seemed in a bit of a frenzy, and I sort of approached and I said, what's the matter? She said, my card keeps declining. So how much is fuel? £10. I paid it, and she was absolutely overjoyed.
Yeah,
she ran out to a partner come and shook my, just things like, mate, like, I just try and do good as much as I can, and I think that's what it's about.
Good. Yeah. thanks for coming on.
No worries, mate.
Nice one, man.
Cheers, pal.